Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Activities for People Living with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. Some of our programs are recorded and some are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. If you would like to go back and look at YouTube, type in Dementia Friendly Fort Worth and choose the option Videos to find our older programs. We are proud to present today Nia-Moving to Heal with Emily Corbin, and I am your director for the day, Martha Brown. Emily, I think I need to stretch a little after this rainy day. Can you help?
We're going to work on learning some of our foundational movements for Nia today. So for those who have moved with us before, you know that Nia is a core foundation of 52 moves, but around that we have all these different ways that we can energize the move and give it personality, and give it really your own personality, right? So I have a base sheet here, and so our base is going to be what are the legs doing? Basically everything from the hips down, right? So it definitely starts with our feet, and you guys have heard me say before, heel lead, right? So that's what we're going to start with, but first we want to get nice and tall in our seat. And we want to sit on the edge of the seat and really sense, how's your posture feeling today? Right, so all of this preparation before we do a single thing, so important to be aware of your spine, right? Are you sensing any compression or any tightness anywhere in your body? And become aware of your major joints, right? So when we talk about the 13 major joints, we're talking about the wrists and the ankles, the knees and the elbows. We're talking about the hips and the spine. So you can move those joints in order to become aware of them anyway. Or you could simply close your eyes and notice, right? Whichever practice is feeling better to you today. And let's take a foot and place it straight down on the floor, right? So if you just lift your foot and then place the foot evenly back on the floor, and pay attention to what you sense. Hopefully you've got bare feet right now, so you can sense a lot on the bottoms of your feet. As soon as you put your foot down, the body responds, right? So when we practice a heel lead, we place the heel down first. So I'm going to demonstrate with the heel of my hand, right? So if we place our heel down first and then let the ball of the foot come down and then the toes relax down. And then the foot is landed. Let's practice that with each foot. The heel, the ball, and the toes relax. The heel, the ball, and the toes relax. Let's do it a couple more times. Heel, ball, toes. Each side. Yeah. And you may notice that you find it easier on one side. You may notice that you have discomfort in your toes or in your ankles or your heels. And our work is to notice those things so we know what we're going to dance with, right? We can dance with pain. We can dance with tenderness. We can dance with anything. We just have to know. Right on. So next on our list of 52 moves is the whole foot, right? So if we lift the entire foot, like you just take your hands around your thigh and lift your whole foot by lifting your leg, Now imagine you're going to keep your foot completely level all the way down. And then sense the whole foot touching the ground on each side. And now do it just with the strength of your leg lifting, and press the foot into the floor. Now, can we give it that emphasis with our breath? Almost like your breath is helping you to root down into the ground, right? Which we need some roots in all this rain. Right on. Let's do it again. Nice. And when we move our breath with intention through our bodies and we align that movement with our breath, we cultivate a more powerful experience. Let's practice touching down with the ball of the foot. So if you were going to tiptoe around the room, right, you could actually pretend like you're going to tiptoe right here in your chair. And you can press the ball down, lifting the heel. When you walk on the balls of your feet, right, or even right here in the chair, you'll notice that your calf muscles are engaged, right? And you'll notice the muscles in your upper legs working. And if you're seated here with me in the chair, then you're also noticing that the belly muscles are working to help you balance and keep you from moving over one way and then the other way. Now let's bring the whole foot back to the floor. Let your heels relax. Close your eyes for a moment and just pay attention to any of the sensations you experience in your feet and in your lower legs. Nice. So if we were going to move into a releve, we would take our heel down, then ball of the foot, toes relax, and we actually lift up onto the ball of the foot, right? So you can do that from your chair, heel, ball, toe, and lift, right? Let's move to rock around the clock. This one is super fun, right? So let your knees kind of sway side to side here. And as you do, you can notice that your feet have edges. You have an inner and outer edge of your feet. And then you really have a front edge and a back edge, your heel and your ball. Yeah. So we're going to work with this side to side edge and the back front edge. So if you guys could imagine that you're moving your foot around on the ground. I'm going to show you my feet, even though you didn't ask for that torture. I don't know if you guys can see or not. Somebody give me a sign. Give me a sign.
Yes, we see where you're moving your camera and we see your feet.
Okay. So I'm going to rock onto one edge and then around to the front edge and then over to the other side and towards the back. And then I can start to move around in a circle on the edges of the foot. It's pretty hard to explain with only language and without a little bit of a visual. So if I use my hands, I'm rocking around. And we did this in yoga yesterday, didn't we, Martha? We didn't call it this, but we did practice this rocking around the edge of the foot.
Yes,
and it really helps. Yes, it helps your body be more responsive through this connection that your feet are making with the ground, right? Increases balance.
By the way,
nice.
We can now see your feet.
Oh, goody. Well,
Yay.
I can't see them based on what my visual here. So let's go the other way. You may have noticed that you started rocking your feet around one way. Let your knees and your hips just kind of flow around, relaxing the knees and the hips here so that you can move in a circle. Nice. And then let your feet be still again. So these movements they don't seem like a workout when you're doing, just this simple rocking movement. But then when you stop, you start to really notice all of the ways that these tiny little muscles connected to the bones and the joints, that they're really engaged. And we do Squish Walk all the time. This is one of my favorites. So with Squish Walk, we lift up a heel or even both heels. We're going to practice with one at a time. So lift up one heel, you're on the ball of the foot. So we're building on that foundation of movements that we've discussed already. And now squish your heel down like you're going to juice an orange right underneath your heel. Now the other one. Nice. You can make that sound if it's fun. Nice. And now you can start to alternate. Here's the thing. I could sit here and squish walk and slam my heels down all day, and it wouldn't condition my muscles unless I'm being extremely intentional about the alignment, right? And about moving energy down when I squish my heel down. So let's all practice moving energy. First, let's practice the lazy way, the couch potato way, kind of just lifting the heels. I'm going to let my posture go. I'm slamming my heels down. Lolly does not like it. And then let's find integrity in our posture. Get a little taller, even if it's changing your mind about your posture, right? And then lift your heel up and really mean it when you squish your heel down. Nice. Other side. Now, we could squish with the heels of the hands and with the heels. Squish, squish. Sense that your calf muscles are engaging when you go up onto the ball of your foot, and then sense that your quadriceps are engaging in order to help you press your heel down. Nice. Now let's lift up both and squish. Now let the emphasis now come from lifting up your knees. And then you can gently let your heels drop back down. So let's do that again, both sides. Lift up your knees. Yeah, and your heels rise as well. Like there are strings pulling the knees up, and then slowly let the strings drop down. So you're your own personal puppet master here. Let's do it again. One more time. Very nice. Duck walk. Heel stays grounded, ball of the foot lifts. And where I really start to notice the muscles working is all of the muscles that attach from the knee to the ankle, in the front of the leg especially. They really start working pretty hard. Yeah. And so if you get tired or start feeling any discomfort from this, make it smaller, make it softer, right? You could practice a couple that are the biggest expression, right, of the movement, and then allow yourself to soften into something that's more sustainable, right? A kind of dynamic ease is how we describe that in Nia, right? And then let that go. Close your eyes for a moment and observe the sensations in your feet and your lower legs. And then we'll practice toes in and toes out. This is a really great way to create stability and to support the hip joints, right? So let's start with our feet parallel, okay? And then we're gonna take one side and turn the toes in by rotating the hip inward, right? So not just the toes, otherwise you'll put some pressure on your knee that's not great, right? But if you lift your foot and rotate the hip inward just a bit, then you can safely turn your toes in. And then if you lift the foot and rotate your hip out just a little bit, you can safely rotate the foot out. Yeah. So let's practice that. The whole foot lifts in and out, right? And if we were doing this with music, we would add in something really fun with our arms, right? So we're doing this very stable, methodical movement with our feet and our hips, and we would add in something fluid just to exercise that part of our brain that wants to be very structured. We ask for flexibility and creativity instead, right? And then let's bring ourselves back to that home base, right? Feet on the floor, nice posture, just sensing what's going on in that side, right? The arms and the legs. And then let's work on the other side. So again, rotating from the hip, lift your whole foot and rotate. No need to exaggerate it. Move comfortably, move safely. Rotate out, toes in, toes out. And then we'll bring it back to parallel, right? But let's practice the in and out, in and out, in and out. And let's practice the in and out with some fluid movement of the arm. So what if you tickle the space right around your face? Oh, that tripped me up with my foot. You got to keep that toes in, toes out. Yeah. Try to make it more fluid. Yes. Fluid with the hand, structured, stable with the foot. Beautiful. Now let's practice toes in, toes out, and parallel. Any side will do. So the toes go in, they go out, and they go parallel. And let's do the other side. They go in, they go out, and parallel. Good. So returning to that parallel place as our home base today is really important. Closed stance. We take our heels just a little bit separate and our big toes touch, right? So that's it. Sense your whole foot, each foot on the ground. Sense rooting down to lift up through the crown of the head. Nice. Open stance, a little bit more space between the big toes and a little bit more space between the heels. And then an A stance, if I was going to stand up, I would maybe reach my hands up and see if I make the letter A. It's just a little bit wider than my hips or about the same distance as my hips, right? Whatever's comfortable for you for our A stance. Yeah. And then for our sumo or our riding stance, we would get much wider, right? And anytime we want to move really big with our upper body in particular, we want a wider foundation, right? Don, our engineer, our resident engineer for this class, would tell us that that wider base is going to give us stability for bigger, maybe even faster upper body movements, depending on what we're working for. Nice. So let's practice just for a moment moving the body in a closed stance, right? So the big toes are touching. There's a little separation between the heels. You sense that both of your feet are rooted down. And let's find some undulation in the spine. You can go sideways or front and back. Nice. And then let's take the feet a little bit wider, just a little bit. And same thing, Move your spine exactly the way you did before. Find some undulation. And then a little wider still. Right? And you'll notice that your mobility, your range of motion can increase. You'll feel safer moving a little bigger if you take your feet wider, right? Now let's take the feet into a sumo stance. Now listen here, right? I was gonna lecture my daughter, or it's how I picture my dad, like when he would, now listen here, Bumpy. That's what he would call me, Bumpy. Listen here, Bumpy. So let's practice moving and notice that your range of motion, what's possible, has broadened, right? Whether you choose that, whether it feels right to choose a bigger range of motion, that's up to you, right? Honoring your body's way today. But more is possible with this bigger, broader foundation, right? And then let's start to bring our feet back underneath us. Nice. So some of the other Nia moves would happen really primarily if we're moving around the room, but I'm going to demonstrate just a couple things. So across behind, that's going to be where you take one foot, ball of the foot goes behind a heel. Yeah, so if I stood up, ball of the foot, and I've got buoyancy in the knee, right? I've got a buoyancy in the hips, and both of the feet have equal pressure really at this point in the floor. So I'm not leaning back on the ball or leaning forward on the front foot. There's this very stable sort of ready position. And the foot. Now, if I bring my feet back underneath me and try the other side. And what I showed you was a little bit of a bow stance. The bow stance is slightly wider. The knees are kind of turned toward each other. And there's more pressure than before. So doing this seated is just fine. More pressure than before in this back foot. Let's try it on the other side. So if you move a little bit side to side here, you can sense that the ball of your bowed foot is providing you with that stability to move here, even though you're off balance in that both of your feet are not on the ground, right? You have a different kind of agility, but you have it. Let's bring both feet back to the ground. I'm going to skip over some of our lateral moves. Oh, the cha-cha. That's one of my favorites. So cha-cha-cha. If you've ever danced a waltz or a salsa, then you've basically done a cha-cha, I'm sure of it, right? So ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, right? You can cha-cha-cha your hands when you clap, right? You could cha-cha-cha one foot, da-da-da. Yeah. So it's fast, fast, slow. Or it's a way that we switch sides efficiently when we're dancing, da-da-da, right? If I wanted to switch to the other side, da-da-da. And notice, so take a cha-cha and a pause right here in your seat. And you're just gonna use this cha-cha, step, 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 pause. And right there in that pause, notice which foot you're on, right? And then let's cha-cha-cha again. Cha-cha-cha. You're on the other foot. Maybe, hopefully. All right, let's do it again.
One more, cha-cha-cha. Now let's continue to cha-cha without the pause in between, right? So we're just gonna shift with fluid movement back and forth, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. So there's more of a float right between, yeah. Da, da, da. Nice. That's like my favorite thing ever. Good job, you guys. All right, and then let's work on a couple kicks. So first thing I want to do is start from a stable foundation. I could be in any of those stances, right? I'm going to start with an open stance here. And the foot that I am going to keep on the ground, I'm going to push it into the ground a little bit more, right? So after a while, you don't have to think about all of these details, but right here, as we practice in the beginning, let's push. Let's say we're working on the right foot kicking, the left foot pushes into the floor. Then we'll lift the right knee and foot, extend the heel, bring the knee in order to bring the heel back in, and take the foot back to the floor. So those are the parts of a kick. Lift, up, out, in, and down. Now let's work on that with our other foot. So our right foot pushes firmly into the floor. Sense the strength in your right thigh now. Foot, stability in your belly. And then lifting the left foot, the knee bending, exhaling to extend. Inhale if you want to align the breath to bring it back in again. Exhale, take it back to the floor. So super slow. Inhale, exhale. Nice. And if I take out all those pauses, right? We don't have to go fast though. We can be precise, and we actually get a better workout, more conditioning with slower movements. So let's lift one knee, extend the leg out, bring it back in, and then let's do the other side. Establish the standing foot before you move to the other side. And you don't have to lift your leg much at all. You could simply straighten your leg out, keeping the heel on the ground. There are all kinds of ways that you can make this practice work for your body. Nice. So these are like the ingredients to Nia, but what I really like is when we make the Nia casserole and we dance and we put it all together and it's just delicious and beautiful. So we'll definitely make sure that happens next time. Now, if we wanted to utilize that kick movement to the side, we could just tap the foot to the side, right? And you'll see me move my arms habitually almost. And that's because I want to
in the direction that I'm kicking. Nice. Let's try the other side. Just tapping to the side is really a kick. Yeah. Tap and then bring it in. So you'll notice that there's a lot in common with a lot of the movements, right? The ball of the foot movements are built on with some of these stances that we practice, and some of the kicks build on whole foot. Yeah. All right, let's come back to center. Let's wiggle our spines around. Open stance, so there's a little space between your feet. And then let's practice a knee sweep. And that's going to be it for us today. A little knee sweep So when we knee sweep, we're basically using the foundation of that toes in, toes out movement, right? It's this rotation that comes from your hip. And we lift the knee, sweep inward, and then out towards the side. Bring the foot back down. It's the whole foot. And I'll give it a little slap. Yeah. Let's do the other side. So strong connection between your standing foot and the floor before you lift the other one. And then sense that rotation in your hip joint. And it can be really small, right? My sound effects are the best, right? So goofy. Sensing that knee sweeping in and taking it back to the floor. So you guys got a pretty extensive lower body workout today. Don't be surprised if even from those really easy, seemingly easy movements, if you actually have some soreness in places that are surprising, because in Nia, we've learned to isolate and to work intrinsic muscles. That's some of the beauty of Nia, is that we can work intrinsically. So definitely keep moving throughout the rest of your day, just 5 minutes at a time, standing up from your position and choosing a way to move your hip joints, right? Choosing a way to move your spine, and letting your body remember on a cellular level what you've worked on with us today. So thank you for bearing with me during these rainy day challenges. Super glad we got to practice together.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Emily. I had to look up
Thank you.
intrinsic.
Intrinsic.
That's a good word.
Happening naturally.
Happening naturally. That's
I
right.
had forgotten. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and coming from the inside out, right?
Yes.
That's
I
kind
did
of how
notice that my core got a good workout today.
Yes, because when you're seated, believe it or not, your core gets much more of a workout when you're seated than it does when you're standing.
Ooh,
because you have to stay, but when you're lifting your feet off the ground, how are you going to balance, right? Your core is what takes over and stabilizes you so that you don't fall out of your chair. And we take it for granted. So it's really awesome that you noticed that today, Martha, because that means that's just a few minutes where you were not taking that for granted, and you were really noticing and appreciating the value of your core.
And we appreciate you, Miss Emily.
Thank you, Martha.
And we do. Let's take a look at what's coming up, because Emily's going to be a busy lady today. She's doing another presentation at 11:30 and yet another at 1:30 today. So she's going to do a lot of core work. Tomorrow, do I have the slides up? Yes.
Bingo.
Bingo, TCU Frog Bingo, 10:30, 11:30, and 1:30. Yetta, are y'all back home by 1:30 or no?
No,
No.
hands on the whole day, and I don't think I will be home.
Okay, we'll see if we can get you some more Frog Bingo other than
Well,
Tuesday.
That's all right. No
Yeah.
problem.
Well, you know, we love you and we want you to play.
I know.
I do know. Good, good. Anybody have anything they want to share before we go?
No.
This one's still acting up. He's being kind of funny about that weather. So I hope your pets and your loved ones are all safe today.
The Wi-Fi is
Thank
back,
you.
so
Is it?
Very good.
yeah, if you guys want to dance with music, it's happening.
Okay. Thank you again, Emily. Everybody.
All right. Thank
great.
you,
My
Emily.
pleasure.
Be safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Bye.
day.